Pooh Shiesty is down the situation. Gucci Mane is down the situation. Little Durk is down the situation. Remember the song? What was that? Please do not play that, little boy, in the club.
Because we do not listen to rats.
5 straight years of getting ignored. 5 years of people acting like he was invisible, like his voice didn't carry any weight at all. This wasn't just talk anymore. It hit deeper than that. It felt like someone finally stepping up to collect every single receipt the culture tried to bury, and things got personal fast. Then right in the middle of all that chaos, Gucci Mane, that caught people off guard. And then boom, another twist nobody saw coming, something involving 6ix9ine getting pulled into the spotlight again. That one piece of evidence flipped everything upside down in seconds. The same story people thought they understood suddenly looked completely different. Then the track dropped, and it didn't just drop quietly. It exploded across the internet like a shockwave. April 10th, 2026, everything just froze in place. Live stream numbers went wild, clips spread like crazy, every platform locked in at once. A man who had been told for years to stay quiet finally stood tall in front of the entire rap scene and hit them with 4 sharp words. Now, y'all believe me. For 5 long years, Tekashi 69 carried a label the culture stamped on him and refused to take back. He was known as the one who cooperated, the one who testified, the one who sat in that federal courtroom while eyes were locked on him from every direction. That moment followed him everywhere. The word snitch didn't just stick, it stayed glued to his name no matter where he went. Online, offline, headlines, comments, it didn't matter. Every time his name popped up, that same label was right there waiting for him again. No matter what music he dropped, no matter how loud he tried to get, no matter how hard he pushed to change the story, the culture had already made up its mind, and they were not changing it anytime soon. Then April 10th, 2026 lands, and everything shifts fast. Gucci Mane, a name built over decades, a certified legend with a reputation tied to a strict code, drops a track called Crash Dummy. And just like that, the internet flips into full chaos mode. This wasn't just another release, this felt like a direct message, and people caught on instantly. The moment clips of 6ix9ine reacting hit the timeline, it turned into pure madness. No delay, no heads up, just straight explosion across every platform. TikTok lit up, Instagram Reels went crazy, YouTube reactions started stacking, Facebook feeds flooded. Everywhere you looked, those clips were moving fast within hours of dropping. April 10th, rolling into the 11th, became one of the most heated moments hip-hop has seen in years, with people going back and forth nonstop. Debates got loud real quick. Street code, snitching, who really lives by the rules and who just talks about it for image. Everybody had something to say and nobody was staying quiet. 6 seconds, that's all it took. Just 6 seconds turned into the sound of the week, replayed over and over like it meant everything. But before getting into what 6ix9ine said, before breaking down every claim and angle he pushed, there's history behind this moment, and it didn't just appear out of nowhere. You gotta rewind for this one, because none of this just popped up out of nowhere. You have to understand what Crash Dummy really was, why it even got made, and what went down on January 10th, 2026 that set the stage for all this drama to explode. Gucci Mane isn't just some random rapper in the mix. He's one of the key figures who helped build trap music from the ground up. Founder of 1017 Records, a label that helped launch careers, shape reputations, and push major Southern artists into the spotlight for over 15 years. Calling him an institution might sound heavy, but it lines up with what he's done in the game. Then that old clip comes back around, and this time it's not quiet. It's front and center on 6ix9ine's stream like real evidence being presented. Gucci Mane, in his own voice, saying it plain and clear, yeah, I ain't gonna tell nobody, not any police. I don't believe in him.
All right, so now y'all believe me? I've been literally saying this shit for 5 years. I'm about to break it down for you. No, it's different. Now it's moving the goalposts. No, it's different. He's a businessman. Let me break this shit down, nigga. Exhibit A.
So, nigga, I have no shit gonna buy. I never want to stay blow up, and I never will.
A word?
I'm a true G.
A true G. What? Exhibit B, nigga. Exhibit B, nigga.
No confusion, no editing tricks, no twisting the words, just straight to the point. That right there was the code he stood on. That was the image he built over time. Loud, public, and consistent for years. And 6ix9ine didn't need a long explanation after that. Just 5 quick words reacting to that clip, and it said everything people needed to hear. Because something shifted between that moment and April 2026, and it wasn't small at all. This wasn't a minor change. This was the kind of turn that makes people start questioning everything they thought they knew. Now rewind again. January 10th, 2026. A business meeting gets lined up at a music studio in Dallas, Texas. On paper, it looked regular. Nothing out of the ordinary. Gucci Mane and one of his 1-7 artists, 6ix9ine, real name Trell Williams Jr., were supposed to sit down and talk things through like professionals. But this situation had more weight behind it than people realized at first. A studio setting, a federal indictment later tied to 9 different names, and eventually a diss track that had the internet yelling about hypocrisy louder than anything seen in a long time. 6ix9ine had already faced a federal gun case before, served his time, came back out, and jumped straight into music like he didn't miss a step. The comeback story looked solid, like everything was back on track and moving forward fast. The momentum was real. Everything was lining up strong. But behind the scenes, things weren't as smooth as they looked. Reports started coming out that he wanted out of his contract. And according to federal prosecutors, the way it got handled didn't go through lawyers or clean negotiations. It took a sharp turn into something way more serious. Prosecutors allege that during that Dallas studio meeting, 6ix9ine, his father, fellow rapper Big 30, and others showed up, and what was supposed to be business turned into a tense situation fast. Claims say a weapon was displayed, pressure got heavy, and documents were signed under force to push a release from the deal. It didn't stop there either. Reports say jewelry, watches, and cash were taken, one person was assaulted, and the door was blocked so nobody could leave until signatures were on paper. That's the version laid out in the case. And it painted a situation that went far beyond a simple disagreement. And this wasn't just rumors floating around online trying to get attention. This came from a federal criminal complaint backed by multiple forms of evidence. Studio footage, phone records, location tracking, fingerprints, even social media posts where items were allegedly shown afterward. Then April 1st, 2026 hits, and arrests start rolling in fast. Multiple people taken into custody across Dallas, Memphis, and Nashville, all tied to the same case. Federal kidnapping and conspiracy charges get announced publicly, and it instantly becomes clear this isn't small, it's serious. Bond denied for some, and 6ix9ine ends up held in federal custody as everything unfolds. Gucci Mane's name shows up in the documents, listed as someone identifying individuals involved, but at the same time, he's publicly saying he didn't cooperate or testify. Reports even claim federal agents hadn't directly spoken to him at all, which only made things more confusing. Then, just 9 days later, he steps into the studio and records Crash Dummy, produced by Zeta Vin, a longtime collaborator known for shaping some of Atlanta's most iconic sounds. The timing alone had people raising eyebrows, and once the track dropped, the conversation got even louder. The song doesn't ease into anything, it gets straight to it. From beginning to end, it lays out what allegedly happened in that Dallas studio without directly naming anyone. He talks about being set up, speaks on trust getting flipped against him, calls those involved crash dummies, and drops one of the most talked about lines, pointing out that documents signed under pressure don't legally hold up, meaning the deal wasn't actually broken. That's when the internet split right down the middle. One side argued Gucci didn't cooperate with law enforcement, didn't testify, and didn't violate any code. He just told his story through music like artists do. The other side wasn't convinced at all, and they weren't staying quiet about it. They argued that dropping a track breaking down an active federal case while people are still waiting on trial crosses a serious line. To them, it didn't matter how it was framed. They called it dry snitching and stood on that claim loud. And out of everyone watching that debate heat up, one voice stood above the rest, 6ix9ine. After years of being told to stay quiet, that silence finally snapped wide open. That stream wasn't just entertainment, it felt bigger than that. Hosted by Aiden Ross, with others around, the spotlight locked in on Daniel Hernandez, better known as Tekashi 6ix9ine. And to really understand why that moment hit so hard, you have to go back and look at the full timeline behind him. Back in 2018, he was only 22 years old, blowing up fast, impossible to ignore. His look stood out, his music was everywhere, and his name stayed trending nonstop. But at the same time, a federal RICO case was hanging over him, something that could have taken away years of his life if he chose to fight it all the way. That pressure shaped everything that came next. He made the decision to cooperate with the government. No way around that. He took the stand, testified in the 9 Trey Gangsta Bloods case, gave details, named people involved, and ended up leaving federal custody much earlier than most expected. The reaction from the culture came down fast and cold. He got shut out almost overnight. Features stopped coming in, shows started disappearing, and bookings dried up quick. Every time he tried to speak on the industry, it felt like he was getting cut off before he could even finish a thought. He He turned into the example people pointed at whenever street credibility came up. The measuring stick, the warning story, even the punchline in conversations. And that label followed him everywhere he went. But through all that noise, for 5 straight years,
yeah, I ain't gonna tell nobody, not even the police. I don't believe in none of that shit.
Oh, you don't believe that?
The only thing I believe in is don't tell the police. Soft ass, nigga.
That shit ain't aged well at all.
You don't believe in that shit, nigga? Listen, I'm gonna break this shit down. Listen to me. Oh, no, it's different. No, it's different. Nigga, I won't tell the police. Hear this shit. This your mouth, nigga.
Take a nigga kindness for weakness. I pulled up on business, but y'all was on
What?
6ix9ine kept coming back to the same question again and again. What happens when it's not him in that position? What happens when that same pressure lands on someone else? And what happens when the loudest voices pushing the code end up in a situation where that code doesn't protect them anymore? On that stream, he wasn't just talking wild. He sounded focused, sharp, almost calculated. You could feel it through the screen, like this was something he had been thinking about for years, replaying it over and over, waiting for the right moment to finally say it out loud. And when that moment came, he flipped everything right back on the people who used it against him. He started pulling up old clips of Gucci Mane talking about loyalty and silence, playing them back clearly. Then he lined those clips up next to everything that's happened since April 1st, 2026, side by side. No edits, no distractions, no way to ignore the comparison. Then he pushed it even further, and this is where things got uncomfortable fast. He brought race into the conversation directly, saying Gucci was getting more grace than he ever received because of it. He argued that the culture doesn't play by the same rules for everyone, that how you're treated can shift depending on who you are and how you look, and that claim hit hard. Comment section split instantly. No middle ground, no simple answers, just debates firing off in every direction at once. Some people agreed, others pushed back hard, and nobody stayed quiet. Then the stream shifted again, and this part surprised a lot of people. It wasn't just emotion or culture talk anymore, it started getting technical. One of the strongest parts of 6ix9ine's rant wasn't even personal. It was the way he started breaking things down piece by piece. It was the way he started breaking down the federal system itself that really caught people off guard. This isn't someone guessing from the outside. This is someone who's actually been in that position, sat inside a courtroom and seen documents with his name printed as United States of America versus Daniel Hernandez. He knows exactly what that situation feels like, and it showed in how he explained it. He started laying things out in a way that even people who follow legal cases closely said was basically on point. The difference between state and federal charges, what it really means when a federal grand jury subpoena shows up, and how serious that pressure actually gets when it's real. And he made one thing clear with no confusion at all. There's no such thing as street code when it comes to federal law. No protection, no hidden loopholes, no rule that steps in to save you if a judge orders testimony. Once that system starts moving, it doesn't slow down for anyone. That's where his main point started to hit harder. He wasn't saying Gucci Mane was a bad person, and he wasn't trying to turn it into a simple personal attack. His argument was bigger than just one situation. He was saying the system itself doesn't care who you are. It doesn't care about reputation, history, or how long someone's been respected in the game. When that federal machine starts moving, it moves the same way on everybody. No special treatment. And just when it felt like people knew exactly where he was going with all this, the stream took one more unexpected turn. After all the clips, all the breakdowns, all the tension building up, 6ix9ine suddenly picked up a piece of paper and started reading a Bible verse out loud. For some people, that moment hit deep and felt powerful. For others, it came off completely out of place, almost confusing in the middle of everything else going on. But no matter how it landed, it made one thing clear. You either understood where he was coming from, or you didn't at all. By the time those clips got chopped up, reposted, screenshotted, and pushed across every platform, the moment was already gone too far to pull back. It was everywhere at once, moving fast, and there was no stopping it now. The grenade had already been thrown, and it landed right in the center of the rap world. And once that happened, it triggered the one thing you could expect. Everybody had something to say. By the morning of April 11th, 2026, those clips were moving at a wild pace, the kind of viral moment that only shows up a few times a year in hip-hop. And it didn't stay limited to fans either. People who don't even follow rap started seeing it pop up on their feeds. Co-workers were asking questions, families were trying to piece together who's who, and the algorithm just kept pushing it harder and harder. Every platform, every scroll, it was right there. No avoiding it. Under all that noise, one big question kept sitting there with no clear answer. And when there's no clear answer, that's when opinions start flying from every direction. That's exactly what happened. Everybody jumped in at once. Different angles, different takes, no real agreement anywhere. And then one voice cut through the chaos with something sharp. Freddie Gibbs. He jumped on Instagram stories just hours after Crash Dummy dropped and said what a lot of people were already thinking. But in true Freddie Gibbs fashion, he didn't come in serious. He came in with humor. He joked that the whole situation had to be AI, saying there was no way someone like Gucci Mane would drop a track breaking down a federal situation over a Zaytoven beat. Then he followed it up with a line so simple it instantly took off everywhere. A man has snitched on a Zaytoven beat. That one line went crazy. Screenshots, reposts, captions, people grabbed it and ran with it fast. And what made it even wilder on this specific point, Freddie Gibbs and 6ix9ine were basically saying the same thing. Two voices that almost never line up suddenly found themselves on the same side. And that alone turned into its own storyline inside the bigger moment. Then DJ Academic stepped in, and he didn't hold back at all. He approached it from a different angle, but still landed in a similar place, pushing the double standard argument even harder. On stream, Academic said it straight. Hip-hop as a culture owes 6ix9ine an apology. His reasoning was simple and direct. Back in 2018, 6ix9ine cooperated with the government and got shut out instantly. No debate, no room for context, just a full shutdown across the board. But now in 2026, Gucci Mane drops a track talking about an active federal case connected to his own artist. And instead of that same instant reaction, the culture slows down. People start debating, analyzing, and hesitating instead of jumping straight to a final judgment. Now it turns into full discussions, different perspectives, careful takes, people trying to break down both sides without jumping too fast. That contrast right there had everybody talking, but nobody agreeing on anything. Academics wasn't letting that slide either. He pointed out something a lot of people kept skipping over like it didn't matter. There was actual video evidence of 6ix9ine being kidnapped and robbed before he ever cooperated with authorities. That part wasn't speculation, it was documented and out there for people to see. But when the culture stamped that label on him, that detail kept getting ignored. His argument was clear. The way people pick and choose when to apply rules doesn't hold up at all. You can't call it one thing in one situation and then switch it up just because it's a different person. That's when things got tense, because Wack 100 stepped in and pushed back hard. He wasn't agreeing with that comparison at all. According to him, Gucci Mane's situation wasn't the same, and the difference came down to one key point. He argued the evidence was already there before the song even dropped. The studio already had cameras rolling, phone records were already logged, and location data had already been tracked before any music came out. In his view, Gucci didn't give prosecutors anything new. He didn't sit down with authorities and start making statements. Wack broke it down in a way that stuck with people. Making a song about something that happened to you isn't the same as sitting in front of the government and testifying. He framed it as an artist speaking on personal experience, not someone helping build a case. And that added a whole new layer to the debate. And right there, that's where the debate got way more complicated. Now it's not a simple question anymore. Is there really a difference between directly cooperating with authorities and speaking on an active case through music? That's not something you can wrap up in one quick answer, and that's exactly why the conversation kept building with no clear end in sight. Then Waka Flocka Flame stepped in and flipped the whole angle. He didn't focus on the same arguments everyone else was stuck on. He brought up security, something most people weren't even thinking about. Waka shared a story from back when he was around Gucci, talking about being introduced to someone on the security team. At first it sounded like regular background info, nothing major. But then he added one detail that completely changed the energy. He said that person was a retired police officer. That's when everything shifted again, because Waka's point wasn't about throwing labels or calling anyone out, it was about reality. When someone with a law enforcement background is present in a situation like that, they're not moving by street rules at all, they operate under a completely different set of responsibilities. They can't just ignore what's happening because of loyalty or image. That's not how it works for them. So while people online were going back and forth about what Gucci should or shouldn't have done, Waka highlighted something deeper. Someone on that team might not have even had a choice in how things played out. And in a federal investigation, that detail matters more than people realize. Even one person with that kind of background can shift everything. The speed of the case, what information gets pulled in, and how strong the overall situation becomes. Waka made it clear he wasn't accusing Gucci of anything at all. He was just pointing out how messy things can get when law enforcement is even part of the environment. And once that idea hit, the whole concept of the code being this unbreakable wall started to look way less simple than people made it seem. Then Rick Ross stepped in. But his tone was completely different from everybody else. While others were loud, picking sides and going back and forth, Ross stayed calm and focused on one thing: business. His take was straight to the point. This situation should have never gone that far in the first place. If an artist wants out of a contract, there are real ways to handle it. Lawyers, renegotiations, buyouts, systems that are already in place for exactly that reason. The music industry deals with disputes all the time, and there are clear paths to solve them without things getting out of control. Walking into a studio and forcing signatures under pressure, that's not business at all. That's serious, and it crosses a line fast. And Ross made it clear that going that route doesn't just bring legal consequences, it can tear down everything someone spent years building. Then Boozy Badazz stepped in, and his reaction felt completely different from the rest. It wasn't polished, it wasn't carefully planned, it felt raw and real. You could see him processing everything in real time, trying to understand just how serious the situation actually was. This is someone who's had direct experience with the federal system, so when he heard what was being said, it didn't sound like just another headline. It hit heavier than that, and you could tell he knew exactly how deep something like this could go. It was heavy, no way around it. He kept repeating the same words over and over, and each time they sounded more serious than before. Because this wasn't rumors, this wasn't internet chatter, this was real. Federal charges, official announcements, multiple arrests across different cities. It hit different when it's that level. People who understand how that system works could feel the weight instantly. This wasn't something you scroll past and forget. It sticks with you because of how real it is. Then Honeycomb Brazy stepped in and cut through all the noise with something deeper. He didn't focus on the arguments or the back and forth. He pointed at what really got lost in all of this. Not the headlines, not the debates, but the wasted potential. Before everything went sideways, Pooh Shiesty was winning. The momentum was there, the charts were moving, money coming in, shows getting booked. He had the kind of comeback story the culture usually celebrates loud. He didn't fall off. He was rising fast, and that's what made everything hit even harder. Because when you strip away the drama, what you're left with is a reminder of how quickly things can flip and how much can disappear when the wrong choices get made. He had it all lined up, did his time, came back, and showed everyone he still had that same energy, that same talent, that same presence, built everything back from nothing like he couldn't be stopped. And then just like that, it all turned. According to people speaking on it, pride stepped in and changed everything. And now, as of April 11th, 2026, Pooh Shiesty is sitting in federal custody, bond denied, and there's one more twist in this story that almost doesn't sound real. He's still technically signed to Gucci Mane's 1017 Records. Yeah, really let that sink in for a second. The same contract he allegedly tried to get out of is still active, and the situation that reportedly involved forced signatures didn't even break the deal in the eyes of the law. So now you've got a situation that sounds almost unreal. An attempt to escape a contract ends with the artist still locked into it, and now also facing serious federal kidnapping charges on top of everything else. That's not exaggeration. That's just how everything played out step by step. And while all of this noise is going wild online, Gucci Mane, silent. No response to 6ix9ine's rant, no public statements, no interviews, no posts addressing the accusations about the code. Nothing about the viral clips. Nothing about the debates taking over every platform. Whether that silence is calculated, personal, or something else completely, only he knows. But one thing is clear. Silence on the internet never stays quiet for long. Because while he's not saying anything, the internet is speaking for him nonstop. Opinions are everywhere. People picking sides, arguments stacking up fast, conversations going in every direction. And somehow, through all that noise, everything keeps circling back to the same name that sparked it all in the first place. Not Gucci, not Pooh Shiesty, not even just what happened in that Dallas studio. It all loops back to 6ix9ine, the outsider for 5 straight years. The one pushed out of the inner circle but never fully gone. Still watching, still talking, still challenging everything people thought was solid. Pointing straight at the system and saying one thing loud and clear: the code isn't what people claim it is. According to him, the code isn't some solid, unbreakable principle like people claim. He says it's more like a performance. Something people stand on when it's easy, but switch up the second real pressure shows up. Because when it's your name on those papers, when it says United States of America versus you, when the situation turns real and not just talk, that's when the truth shows itself fast. And in most cases, it doesn't hold up the way people thought it would. Now, to be clear, he's never said the code itself is wrong. His whole argument is that it's inconsistent, applied differently depending on who you are, how big your name is, and where you stand in the culture. And whether people agree with him or not, and a lot of people definitely don't, the events of April 2026 added real moments people can point to. Not just opinions, not just talk, but actual situations that made people stop and question everything they thought was set in stone. Right now, this situation is still unfolding. The legal case involving Pooh Shiesty, Big 30, and others is ongoing, and new updates, reactions, and takes keep dropping every hour across every platform. And in the middle of all the clips, the memes, the debates, the quotes, and the music, hip-hop is stuck facing one big question. What does the code really mean when it actually matters? If you made it this far, tap in, like, subscribe, share this video, and drop a comment with your take, because this conversation is far from over.